I'd like to welcome to today's program Josh Bachman. He's a business development advisor with Violand Management Associates. I'm sure you're in Chicago with nice weather.
Yeah, that's the truth. Always nice weather. I think this morning we've had sunshine, rain, and snow all in the same day. So yeah, that's Chicago for you.
What people don't know is the conversation we just had. So Josh is kindly sending me his bad weather, so I'll get that tomorrow.
That's exactly right.
Hey, today's discussion is focused on technology and restoration. And Josh, I know you come from the restoration industry, still in it as an advisor. When a client is looking to add some cutting edge technology, what do you tell them?
So it's a conversation that comes up often. Many of our clients are looking to add on technology, and I think where we start is you've got to kind of know where you want to end up. And I often go back to what has worked for you in the past on a piece of paper. You know, we all go back in our industry and our days back to when we used file folders, right? And we had that all laid out. What worked in file folders? I know we need to automate that process now in our new world of technology, but what worked in your file folders world? And let's try to see if we can get technology to embrace those same procedures and come along. So really, I kind of back them up first. I know it sounds counterintuitive, but I tend to back them up first. And we talk about what process procedures work for you in the past and have worked, and then how can we get technology to come in and marry alongside that and really take us to the next level. So really, it's looking at efficiency and cleaning up that operation, not necessarily looking for a piece of software to come in and be our savior. Because if it's not working for you in your pen and paper piece, and it's probably not going to work in this really expensive, nice, shiny new tool we get either. And so we spend a long time talking about that process and procedure before we ever jump into what the piece of software needs to look like.
Okay, so we're talking about business software to do the job better. Correct. We're not talking about a moisture meter.
Correct. Mainly there in regards to that, I'm talking about, job management platforms, CRM, that kind of software piece, not necessarily the hardware piece of a new DU or a new moisture meter or those kind of things. I think the manufacturers in that world do a good job of keeping us up with what we need to know over there. And I mean, no offense to anybody at any of the companies with the dehumidifiers, but what are we really doing with dehumidifiers to bring them up to the 21st century? Or, you know, I don't know that there's a whole lot of change in the technology. They get shinier and fancier and remote and have Wi-Fi built in and those kinds of things. But I don't know that at its root, it's really much change, right?
And I'm no expert in that, so I'm not even going to touch it.
Yeah. And I know enough to get in trouble, Jeff. And so I'll probably leave that along as well.
Well, Josh, I can tell from your personality, you've probably been in trouble before and you've got through it. So
yeah.
What are some technologies that you feel are a must that maybe are not being implemented like they should be?
Okay. So I'll go back and kind of tell you a little story to kind of get to that answer about my first job in the restoration industry, right? When I got into this industry, I worked at a small restoration company in Texas, and my first job was to go to Walgreens and get all the photos from Walgreens and take them, scotch tape them to a piece of paper, and put it into a 3-ring binder and drive that over to the headquarters of USA Insurance. And they had a little kiosk set up where you'd go through a U-turn and you drop the kiosk off, and this was your file folder, your claims information for the claim folder. When I came into the industry, we suddenly had this cool thing called digital cameras. And somebody said, you should really try this. You can take pictures, and all the ones you took of your foot that you didn't mean to, you don't have to pay for those anymore. And we were like, you know, let's hold off and see if this is really going to stick. You know, digital cameras, you know, Kodak's been around for forever. Let's see if this is going to work. I use that analogy to say that we were slow adopters to say, let's go into this because we've been comfortable, right? We're taking pieces of paper and sticking pictures to it and dropping them off physically. And we used digital technology to come into that. And I think we're in a similar place right now as you look towards things like Matterport, DocuSketch, and the 3D imaging technology that's out there. I think that's one of those places where just like digital cameras became a had to have, not a nice to have. It's the same thing that we went through, 4 or 5 years ago, maybe even longer ago than that, when thermal imaging became the nice to have, and then suddenly became you had to have this as a tool to trade. I think 3D imaging is coming along in that same regard, and it's very quickly becoming something that you have to have. It's no longer a differentiator to set yourself apart from your competition or to wow an adjuster. It's almost to the point where people now are coming to you, your clients, your homeowners, your property owners, your adjusters, whoever you're working with, is now also often saying to you, well, can't I see a 3D image of this? How does that work? I want to see that because I know everybody else is showing that to me. So that's probably the one that I end up talking about the most right now with the people I work with is, guys, this is going to pass you by if you don't start adopting it now. Let's come into this right now. Learn how to leverage it in our business. See how to figure it out. Can we be a part of our process and move that through? So that's probably the one that we're spending the most time on right this second.
It makes sense. I am familiar with it. I've seen it in action, and I'm amazed. If you are looking at a 3D imaging project on your computer and you want to know what's in that corner over there, well, go look.
You can find out. And for me, as an experienced, kind of estimator that had been doing that for a while, I was always notorious. If I was in this room, like my office that I'm in right now, I forgot to measure that door, right? I just always forgot it. Is it a 30-inch door? Is it a 24-inch door? Not that that makes a big, huge difference, but it'd be nice to know that in my estimate, or nice to know that as I pass that on to the next person in the process. With that kind of technology, I can go back right into that without having to make get the windshield time of driving back out to that job site, especially here in Chicago, where that job site could be 2 hours away with traffic. What does it save me when I can just go to the computer, just like you said, open it up, take a measurement of that door virtually, and get what I need from it. So yeah, it's a tool that we can really look to drive efficiency.
Yeah. Traffic in Chicago, I vote no. So
yeah, exactly.
All right, good stuff. Let me ask you this, Josh. How much value does a property manager or an adjuster, someone in those roles, how much value do they put into this type of technology?
I think from my perspective, I don't know, for the example I just gave you around, measuring and those kinds of things, or looking at scope, I don't know that that's a huge value to them, unless we're just trying to illustrate or document and tell what was going on, show them the condition of the space they were in. Really, I think the biggest value for those kind of clientele I look at is to help document a pre-existing condition. What did the place look like before we got there? And that's one of the things that I've had some clients have some great success with. And in my own experience, had great success with it when I was still running, day-to-day business, was we were trying to get to our trusted partners, meet them, especially like a trusted property manager. Let me come 3D scan your property before anything bad happens to it, so we know what it looks like, so we can put it back together. So that's a big value for them that I've seen us as restorers or us as cleaners be able to come in and leverage. Let's see what it looked like before something bad happens to it, and we'll have that documentation as a starting ground, as a place with which to work from. Also, then in our business, we find it's often that property manager doesn't want to show up at 3 a.m. in the morning with the rest of us, or doesn't want to show up at all sometimes. And that's fine. They've got other things they need to do. They may be managing 47 properties across Chicagoland, as an example. Well, if I can take this technology and say, here's a link so you can see what's going on, it gives them an opportunity to be involved with the process without being involved with the process. So they're allowed to be involved at whatever level or engage at whatever level they want to be. It's just another tool in our toolbox.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. From everything you've described, to me, it sounds like it's a time saver. Everything is to save time, be more efficient, get the job done, and not be chasing after some data or pictures or going to Photomat.
Yeah, I really agree that it is. Yeah, back to the Photomat. I really agree that it is. It's a time saver, right? It's just that next iteration or next, logical step that kind of lays that out. And hey, here's the next thing we have to be able to document well.
Yeah. Well, I guess at the next trade show, if I see you there, you can show me the cool things you're talking about.
Yeah, we'll work that out.
All right. Thanks, Josh.
Yeah.